This is Rob Kettles here from CA Technologies, and I'll be presenting a series of videos to help you with CA performance management. This video will cover grouping concepts. This is a sample architecture for Performance Manager. At the bottom we have multiple data collectors collecting both SNMP and non-SNMP data from our lab infrastructure here. In total it's about 2 million polled items. Next up we have our data aggregator, collecting data from the data collectors and placing it into our data repository, a 3-node data repository in our example. And then finally, at the top, our CA Performance Center for our user interface. And we'll log in as our admin user. And the way we configure our grouping within performance management is go up to admin and groups under custom settings. And we'll see here, again, this is a pretty populated system, so we'll actually walk through what we have in here and we'll create some groups. But there's really three kinds of groups that we'll discuss here. So they're called custom groups. They're really sort of generic groups, so they could be reflective of, for example, a business unit or a service, or in this case here, they're reflecting for the National Football League, American football. Here you're seeing teams and divisions and conferences. So that's what we have reflected in our custom groups. Next up we have site-based groups. So site-based are more, they're geographically focused. And what I mean by that is they're really for items that have a common geography associated with them. So you can see we have various cities located, and the main difference that we see here is there's a difference where we can specify a location as well as a time zone and business hours. That's really one of the key differentiators for the site versus a custom group here. And then as you can see, for both the custom groups and the site-based groups, you can nest them, so you can have a hierarchy as well. The final group that we'll cover are collections. So collections are special groups that are used for configuring monitoring configurations, so monitoring profiles, threshold profiles, etc. We'll get to that within the data aggregator settings there, but that's what collections are used for. So we're going to create a new custom group here. We're going to call it test. And what we're going to do here is we'll see it show up in the hierarchy outside of down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in, create a rule, and we're going to change it to devices, since that's what we want to add. You can see there we can add in interfaces, applications, etc. Then we're going to add a condition, and we're going to say is between, and we're going to plug in 2 IP addresses that we used for discovery prior. So we'll do 10.241, 248.166, and 10.241.248.171, and we'll hit OK, and we'll preview our results. And we have 2 devices, and these are the 2 Juniper devices that we had discovered in a previous video. And so we'll save and run these rules. So we have these 2 devices, so we can view dashboards in them. And then what we're also going to do is, since we want to apply some special monitoring to them, we're going to create a test collection for them too. So we'll just say test collection, and the same idea here, add rule, devices, and is between 10.241, 248, 166. 66, 10.241.248, that one's 71. And again, the reason why we have this is the custom groups, the site groups are used for reporting, whereas the collections are actually used for applying monitoring configurations, monitoring profiles, thresholds, etc. So now that we have our groups configured, let's see how we can actually use them in dashboarding. So for example, several out-of-the-box dashboards here. If we go to Network Device Health, we see I happen to have all groups selected, so we see all of our sites listed out, the time zone and path. And again, since we're looking at 2 million polled items, quite a bit of data coming in here that we're looking at. Typically, you'd want to go in and change your perspective, though, and look at from more of a drill down view. So if we go in and look at, for example, a specific region, we could look at the Northeast of North America. We see only the sites relevant to there. We see only the interfaces, devices, etc. that are relevant. Or if we want to change this to a more of a business unit, or in this case a football conference view, we can see our how our NFC devices are doing, devices and interfaces are doing in comparison to, for example, the American Football Conference. So again, gives you a good way to see what my top problematic issues, by region, by location, by business unit, for example. And there's a specific view here called site navigation. If I'm interested in navigating from a site view, I see my regions, all hierarchical. So let's go in and change our view here. Go to North America, Northeast. So here are my regions, then I see what are my peers. So we have Northeast, Northwest, so these are our other regions, and child sites within our Northeast region right now. So these are the various cities that we have within this region, and then we can drill down to individual routers, for example, or if we want to drill in to, for example, a specific site and pull up a view on demand for, in this case, our shared infrastructure between the Jets and Giants in East Rutherford, New Jersey there, and see our scorecard, interface utilization, etc. Now let's see how we can use our collections groups to apply monitoring configurations. We do that by going up to Admin, Data Source Settings, Data Aggregator. And there's a couple ways you can do this. You go under Monitor Configuration. I like to go to Collections and view my collections here. So our test collection, that's the one we're going to be working with. And we see what monitoring profiles have been applied to that collection. So right now we don't have any. So we go up to Manage. Here we can go up and see what available monitoring profiles we want to pick from. So I'll go in here and just take the out of the box, the factory default network interface one. That's a 5-minute poll for interfaces that are admin up. And we go to Manage, and that's applied. And if we go back up to our monitored inventory here, and we see our monitor devices, we go to our test collection and pick out our devices. We can see what monitoring profiles have been applied. So if we go all devices, we see all the default ones, we see our test collection, we see network interfaces applied. And then if we go to pulled metric families on this device here, we'll see interface is there. Again, this could take a few minutes for it to populate. You can also go in, if you don't see if it says not supported, you can go in and select the individual metric family and hit update metric family, or you can do update metric families, do all of them. But then down below you see the interfaces. These interfaces weren't here before, and you can see when we discovered them, that was after we applied our monitoring profile to this collection. So that's how we can use collection groupings to apply monitoring profiles. This is Rob Kettles here from CA Technologies, and thank you for watching Grouping Concepts.